Alrighty, hello to anyone who happens to be watching. I'm here with my friend Eric. We had just finished playing through The Return of the Obra Dinn, and for fun, I decided it would be a fun idea to put together a tier list of the crew members and passengers aboard the ship. And this tier list is going to take into account both how useful the person was for the ship and its voyage, as well as useful to us in our investigation. So, the S tier ones are basically indispensable. A tier is pretty important, did an amazing job. B tier is, did okay, did good. C tier is kind of just existed, or didn't really contribute. D tier is didn't actively, but made things worse, but not intentionally. And then F tier is actively made the situation worse, so basically second mate Nichols.
Yes, the shithead tier, as we like to call it.
Basically, yeah. So, I guess, is there an order that you want to go in, or...?
I think we just take the order that the page here has, for some reason. I don't know what logic it uses to put these into order.
I don't know what order it is, to be honest, so...
Full disclosure, we probably won't remember all of their names, because there's a lot of names to remember. There are, 61 people on the ship?
So I think it would be more useful to start with the people that we absolutely do remember, and then I have a secondary page open with that can remind me who people are based on their picture. So where should we put the captain? This is this is a difficult one for me.
This is possibly one of the most difficult ones, because the captain, he's the guy that you start off seeing as a villain, because you start off at the end of the tale where he just sort of goes ye olde John Wicker and fucking kills a shitload of people like a fucking badass. And then
well, to be fair, he was acting in self-defense.
Well,
in a sense,
to an extent,
to a certain extent.
To an extent, I don't think the opening of that chapter where they're just knocking on his door and telling him that they want the shells, I don't think it's self-defense to kick open a door and shoot someone who's like 5 feet away from you.
Mm-hmm. Especially when it's also your brother-in-law that you just shot.
Yeah, it's not a great look, is it?
Yeah. My read on the captain is, he may not have, always done the right thing, but at least until the end, he was really trying to be a good captain and to keep his crew safe. And I think that's shown when he goes into the lazarette and tries to basically coerce the mer people into calling off the attack. Although I don't exactly know. Is that implied to have worked? Is that why the Kraken went away? Or did the Kraken go away because of
no, I think
Martin's bargain?
I believe that the captain's method actually worked to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the logic behind it is that the Kraken was there because the soldiers of the sea, the funky crab people.
Riders.
Yeah, the crab riders, they didn't succeed, so they sent the Kraken to sink the ship and free the mermaids and get the shell back. But killing 2 out of 3 of them probably scared them off, because it showed that these people are 100% ready to straight up just murder. And I believe that's why the Kraken went away, because again, I believe that the events of the bargain are at the same time as the events of escape, or very, very shortly after each other. So I think that the Martin's bargain was literally just to ensure the Obra Dinn's safety and to get it back to England very slowly.
Yeah. The captain also unknowingly authorized the execution of what's his name? Hawk Seng Lao. Although that wasn't really his fault, because it's implied that Li Hong, the translator, basically fed him false info because he was conspiring with Nichols.
Yeah.
So I don't know how culpable he is in that situation.
I don't think we can really blame the captain for that much. We can 100% blame him for the events of the final chapter, but I believe before that he was doing whatever he could. He's not a hero in my opinion, but he is someone who he's a fake out. Like, you're supposed to see him as the villain initially, but he ends up being one of the people who were actually trying to do what they could, which, not always was the best thing or enough, but I think he was doing what he could.
Yeah, I feel like a good compromise would be to put him in A tier. What do you think?
I was saying either, A or B. I think he was trying, but he didn't make things super good, but he was trying. So that's either A or B.
Okay.
Though he does have the thing that he scared off the Kraken, which is pretty big.
Yeah, if he hadn't scared off the Kraken, then the entire rest of the voyage and the investigation wouldn't have happened. So I'm going to put him in A tier. He misses out on S tier just because of what happened in the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
To be fair, he was very cool.
How about William Hoskett, the first mate?
He's in the background of a lot of things, but he's not super active.
Yeah,
I do think
he does take an active role in fighting off the Crab Riders in Chapter 6, which is really remarkable because he's the executive officer above the ship. I mean, that's basically like an army colonel fighting in the front lines of a war zone. That's something you would basically never see. But then he just fucking disappears for the entirety of the Doom and the Bargain, and it's never really explained what he was doing. I know you suggested that maybe he was below decks, like helping out there, which would make sense if they needed a team below deck to try and effect repairs to the ship. It would make sense to have the executive officer directing that effort. But
I mean, we know that during the events of the escape, he is above deck with Brennan and everything. But we also know that we don't know what happened during the Doom itself, but the fact that he starts out on top of the deck, overseeing the people who are trying to get away, and then he moves downstairs, suggests that he may have been doing something. Either he was on the top deck and he may have been helping the people who were hiding in the captain's cabin, if you remember that from Abigail's memory, or he may have been below deck and coordinating people, though we don't really see that.
Yeah. I'm inclined, because of how much he was doing during Chapter 6, to put him in A tier. What do you think?
I think he's also just generally kind of a cool dude.
Yeah.
I'm willing to give him a lot of goodwill because he never strikes me as someone who is hot-headed or anything.
And it
seems
clear that from his actions that he does care about the crew quite a lot, which is
he and Brennan have a weird bromance going on. They're always together for some reason, which is strange, because he's the executive officer and then Brennan is just a seaman.
Yeah.
Or the top man, one of those things.
No, he's the seaman. He's literally the lowest ranking person, and he makes it all the way to the end.
He's a fucking powerhouse. We'll get to him soon.
Yeah. So
I think
I'm gonna put him in
Oscar
A tier, unless you disagree.
No, I think he's cool.
Okay.
I think he deserves A tier.
Okay, time for the easiest placement in the universe. Edward Nichols.
What a cockhead.
Literally, if it wasn't for him, my God, the only people that would be dead would be the two Indians and I guess what was his name? Samuel Peters, the guy who got crushed by the cargo.
Yeah, literally just the guy who got one of the Peters who got crushed by the cargo, and anyone who dies in a bigger hole.
Honestly, if they're and also during the mermaid attack, he was fucking cowering in the rowboat, just in the fetal position, and his mate actually his steward calls him out on it, pick up a gun and help us out for Christ's sake or something Wow,
Yeah,
the dude isn't just a murderer and a thief and a mutineer. He's also a coward. So, good on Chio for giving him the what's for.
literally every decision that this guy makes is bad.
Yeah.
Like, if he hadn't, been... What even happens in fucking Murder? He's just curious about what the people from Formosa are transporting. So if he had...
My read is that, he knew the Formosans had a really ornate chest, and he wanted to steal it. So he knocked out Hawk Sung Lao and then tried to get into the room, but Nunzio saw him, so he panicked and killed Nunzio, and then he decided at that point, like, oh, I've just killed someone, I better just get GTFO the ship. And so he and his mate and a few other sailors kidnap 2 of the Formosans in the chest, and they run off. And he also kills Timothy Butemin, or was that someone else? I mean, he's responsible for his death regardless, so there's that.
Yeah. No,
there's nothing fucking redeeming about this guy at all. 100%.
Yeah, literally every decision. If he hadn't, if he had just like not fucking pulled up the mermaids like a complete stupid asshole, they wouldn't, like, the Doom wouldn't have happened. Soldiers of the Sea wouldn't have happened.
Although, if he had just, I also, to step back for a sec, maybe, I don't know if taking the unconscious mermaids aboard the ship was even a right call or not, and considering that he was dead when the rowboats returned because Chio shot him, I guess that choice probably would have been up to the captain or whatever the ranking officer on deck was. So I guess that's another secondary reason why I'm hesitant why I'm not putting the captain in S tier.
Yeah, but I mean
that really can't be held against him because he didn't know what happened, and he tried to interrogate Chio, but then Chio got spiked before he could say anything. So, yeah,
exactly. That's the thing. Like, with Captain in that scenario, I give him like, he has no fucking idea what these things are. He knows that for some reason Nichols came back with them alive, so they might be important to some degree.
Yeah.
So of course he wouldn't just like off them, and they're unconscious as far as he knows. And to be fair, again,
and
to
also,
him,
I mean, I guess would he have known that they killed all of those people? I mean, I guess he probably would have figured it out after one of the mermaids spiked Chio. So,
well, hence why he has them. Hence why he has them thrown in the lazarette.
Now that I think about it. My apologies to Taiwanese and Chinese for butchering the names.
Yeah, we're trying, but we're not very good at this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think as soon as he realizes that they're dangerous, he has them thrown in the lazarette. And to be fair to him, he has them thrown in there in like little pools of water big enough for them to move around. So that's kind of almost considerate.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nichols.
It seems like he was treating them almost like POWs, which is pretty standard for. I'm assuming he was maybe, I guess not a military officer, but a high-ranking officer on a ship that is expected to be in combat because it's got cannons.
Yeah, this is the Obra Dinn is like. It's not a small or.
Yeah, it's an 800 ton ship.
Yeah, that is a. He has to have been of quite high standing to be allowed to captain such a ship with such people, and he's a veteran captain as well, because he talks to Dahl about that.
20 years, based on what he said to Philip.
Yeah, to Dahl, and he's like 20 years my steward. Yeah. So this guy is like all 40. Anyway, Nichols can go fucking.
He can, I don't know who else is going to join him, but I hope at least one other person is there with them. So Martin, I think Martin is the first S tier, in my opinion.
Martin is a G. He tries at every turn to save people as much as he can.
And he basically sacrifices himself to try and ensure that the remaining people aboard the ship can make it back to England safely, which maybe works depending on whether his bargain allowed the rowboat with the 4 people on it to escape safely. But the rest of, if it wasn't the case, then it was ultimately unfortunately a senseless sacrifice. But you know, he was still always doing the right thing whenever he could, and he's present in basically all of the important chapters.
He's always around. He's always around, more or less. He gets his, like, steward taken away by the fucking cannon and everything.
And he looks really distraught when it happens. Like, he must have been close to him. So, do you disagree with the S tier placement?
He's a good dude. I think he deserves to be an S tier, yeah.
Okay. Alright, so now John Davies, the fourth mate.
Really just one of the most unfortunate deaths in this game.
Yeah. It seems, basically, at least from what it seems like, Olus brings up the idea of a mutiny with him, and he's not like, oh, don't talk to me about it. He's just like, you have a plan. It sounds almost more like he's surprised or anything. But Thomas Lunke hears them, and then Olus panics and stabs him. Davies tries to stop Olus from shooting him, but in the struggle, he accidentally makes Olus shoot his head, and then Brennan thinks that Davies has killed him, so he clubs him to death. So, yeah, really, really unfortunate. But he was trying to stop Lunke from being killed.
Yeah, I think he may have been a mutineer, but at that point, like, with everything that has happened, especially with them not knowing what happened down in the lazarette, I don't blame them, like, a ton for distrusting the captain. Because if the captain comes back smelling like fucking fish blood, and he's like, I'm fucking scared of the crack, and they're like, how'd you do it? I'm not gonna tell you. Like, of course you'd think that he's gone insane. And again, this guy is better than the gunner's mate, because he at least tried to, like, stop it. The kill was accidental, and then he got lubbed.
And then also, John Davies at one point is seen protecting his steward, which is, you would expect that to be the opposite IRL. The steward would be responsible for keeping the mate safe, but and maybe potentially because of that is why what is his name? Davy James, that was him. That's how he was able to escape. So, I feel like putting John in A tier myself.
Yeah, he's definitely low A tier because he was still trying to mutiny, but, like, he is A tier.
Yeah.
Low A tier, but A tier.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where should we go next? Should we continue just going down in numbered order?
Yeah, just go numbered, honestly.
Okay. So then the bosun, Alfred Klestel, where he is right here.
Alfred is a funny boy.
Yeah.
I quite like him personally, but not for any, like, specific reason. He just strikes me as a... You know, the bosun, if I remember correctly, and I probably don't, but the bosun was supposed to be, like, the morale officer.
Mm-hmm. He's seen helping defend the ship and directing the crew, and I know in the Doom, and I'm pretty sure he was also present in Soldiers.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. He's also present for a lot of things, really.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who helps restrain Dahl, I believe as well. Like, you see him with, like, a rope.
I think that was the bosun's mate, actually.
Was it? I don't remember. It's just the bosun and his mate. They're usually, like, hanging out.
It was one of the two. I know that.
Nah, I also think that he's one of the first people you hear comment on, like, what the captain did in the lazarette.
Yeah.
He's a foreshadowing person, which I think is interesting because you usually don't really get
that. Does not lift for nothing.
Yeah. Which, what a fucking line to die with.
Yeah.
Hard as hell. Also gets just ripped in half. Well, you know, ripped his
arm torn off. And he
survives.
Manages to make it until the beginning of the escape.
Yeah. Like, absolute G of a man. I think he's a easy A tier.
It's possible that what he said was what sparked the mutiny, actually.
Well, yeah, but he's not incorrect.
Yeah.
And again, I don't blame people for distrusting the captain after what he did, and especially if he didn't explain himself. And again, up until that point, the bosun has been on the captain's side, as far as we know.
Yeah.
He has been good and loyal. It's just at that moment he says, well, like, did you consider that maybe the captain did something shady? Maybe, perhaps. It's like, he brings up a point, you know? I also like that he seems to be good friends with his
mate.
With his mate.
Yeah. They're seen together pretty often, and they're even fighting off the Kraken together at one point.
Yeah. I just find it endearing that an Austrian guy's like his first thing is like, where's the Kraken, where's my Frenchman?
Yeah.
So that really tells you a lot. And again, I think we should also consider how long these people survive. And the bosun, he survives for a long time.
Yeah.
He makes it through soldiers and most of the doom. And he's one of the few people who are fighting up top. And he's one of the few people who survives after being up top for a while.
Yeah, although not for long, unfortunately.
Yeah, not for long, but he doesn't get picked off like the rest.
Yeah.
Like, most of them are just ripped off immediately.
Is he A or B tier?
I'm more inclined to put him in A tier because I think he did all he could, and I think he did make a difference. He sparks the mutiny, which lowers him a little bit, but I think he deserves to be on the same level as the fourth mate.
Okay, that's fair. Alright, and then next is the bosun's mate, Charles Minet. I think
Charles
that's how you would
Minet.
say it in French.
I believe that is correct, more or less. Aren't you Canadian? Aren't you supposed to know this?
I'm in the most anglophone part of Canada, British. It's literally called British Columbia. There's no
honestly,
one here
quite
that speaks
pissed.
French, although we have a fair amount of French immersion schools, so there's that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Charles Minet, aka Striped Shirt Man.
Yeah. He's present in every fight, and he's usually around the bosun.
Yeah, I think the only...
He also accidentally kills Zungi, the ship's steward.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was going to bring up. Like, that's the one L that I would give him.
Yeah,
but
although,
again,
I mean, he wouldn't have known that he was behind the wall there. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the East India Company considers him responsible because they fine his estate for it, but...
well, yeah, because you confirmed that it was him who shot him. Who shot the guy, which...
But
fair,
I find that I don't really... that was accidental, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. It was accidental killing. Like, he was trying to shoot at the crab, and it just, just move bore so it goes wide and kills the neighbor's dog.
Yeah.
Like, that's not his fault. He wasn't aiming for the guy. It's just... It happens that the bullet just goes through the wall. That's like the one thing I can remember him doing... Like, taking the L.
Yeah, aside from that, he's just around fighting the monsters and the Kraken.
Yeah,
so,
never really does anything bad. I think I would put him in low B or C.
I'll put him in B.
Because he is...
Because he didn't...
He is
yeah,
active,
he was participating, so he wasn't passively standing by. So I don't think he belongs in C tier.
Yeah, and he was competent at it. Again, he survives for a long time, and then he dies protecting the bosun, which is his job. So I would say that he did a decent enough job of it. Not super impactful, though.
Okay. So next is also perhaps one of the more interesting placements that we have to decide on, and that's the surgeon, Henry Evans, who is responsible for the entire investigation even being possible in the first place.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the more interesting characters because, ironically, like, I know that this is a common joke in the community, but every time you see Evans in a memory, he says, like, oh, he's gonna be fine, and then the person immediately dies.
He gives,
which I think...
what's his name? Uh,
The guy who dies from sickness.
Renfred
gives him-
Radub. I think that was him. Yeah, he gives him laudanum, which is an opiate, and opiates suppress your respiratory system, and he has a lung disease. So, if he wasn't already dying, he was probably dying after that.
Although, like
this is 18th century medicine, so I don't know how culpable he is for that. He did probably what he was trained to do.
Effectively. And to be fair, I think that if he had found the rest of the one guy's leg, I forget his name, I think that guy may have, well, maybe not lived for longer, but I think he would have been... he may have not died immediately, because I do believe that Evans is at least a semi-competent surgeon, because I don't think they would have taken him on the ship, and B, I think it's disingenuous to make fun of him for every time we see him, someone dies.
There's
because
also,
that's just how
the other thing about him that people always bring up is if he had the memento mortem, why didn't he use it to solve Nunzio's murder? And there's a couple ways you can interpret that. The first being that he just assumed that Hawk Sung Lao did it because of the confession, or he figured that no one would believe him because of it being such a supernatural sort of power.
It could be. The real question about Evans is why he has the pocket watch in the first place.
Yeah.
Or like, it's clear that he full well knows what it is used for, not just because he sends it to us, but also because of the thing with the monkey. And it seems to me that he is maybe a curious man, so I would almost argue that he may have known who killed Nunzio, but he couldn't really overrule the words of, there was a confession.
Yeah, plus the one real opportunity he would have had to inform the captain that it was actually Nichols is kind of made pointless because Chio shoots and kills him when he returns, so there really isn't someone to put on trial, and it's not like they could bring Hawk Sung Lao back to life. So he may have just considered, there's nothing I can really do, so there's no point in bringing it up.
There's also the matter of, when the calling starts. Actually, I don't know if it's already counted as the calling, but the scene where he is kidnapping the two Formosans, the two Formosans apart from the guard.
Is Nichols present during the execution? He's in the sketch. Yeah. I don't know if he's actually... Because the sketch isn't 100% accurate to what happened.
It's not, but he is there. Do you remember when we played it, you realized that the one person was actually his steward because he was whispering,
he was whispering to him. Right. So I guess the steward in that case, the steward might have been preparing for their escape and telling him everything is ready or something like that. And also everyone being up on deck for the execution would have made it a lot easier to steal the chest, because there probably wouldn't have been as many people below deck that could watch. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think there's a very short period of time between. So
I guess another possibility is that Nichols intentionally framed Hawk Sung Lao to provide a distraction so he could steal the chest. God, I want to make a tier lower than F just for him. This is... Oh my god.
You can make one. You can make Scumfucked here.
Yeah, I think I will.
Yeah. Make it, Yeah, that's a nice... Just rename it real quick. Scumfucked. No, without the C. Without the C on fuck. Right. Just Scumfucked was okay. Yeah. You got it. Scumfuck.
Anyway,
you look so proud of it.
So where does Evans belong?
I'm gonna put Evans. He's a real difficult one because he is the sole reason why the entire game plays out, and he also is the one who willingly gives us access to the happenings of the bargain. So for that, he deserves a lot of points. He also deserves some points for the fact that he was able to think of the of the thing with the monkey, like using him to find out what happened. That's smart.
Yeah.
I also believe that he is actually a decent surgeon, and the fact that we only see him when people die is because of the way the watch works. It's the. But
he could have been helping other people who got injured or sick throughout the voyage.
Exactly.
We just didn't see it.
Exactly. It's like the inverse of the survivor bias.
In fact, like a potential possibility, because I don't think you see Evans during the Doom either. Maybe at one point Hoskett got injured and like Evans was treating him because because in the end Hoskett isn't wearing his shirt. He just has his coat over top. So maybe he had to take it off to get treated or something.
Could be, yeah. I believe we do see him, but he's like at the captain's cabin with the other people he ends up escaping with. So he might have been like taking care of some of the wounded soldiers, and stuff like that. There's also the question of how much time passes between Soldiers of the Sea and the Doom, which is probably not a whole lot. So he may have been treating people between those two moments as well. So again, I'm gonna say. I am on between B and A tier.
I think he belongs in S tier because the entire investigation is the result of him. We wouldn't have found out anything that happened if he hadn't given us the book and the watch.
Yeah, true.
So I'm gonna put him in S tier myself.
I can agree with that. I was gonna say like A tier, purely because I do think that he is not super active. I think he kind of hangs back and sometimes
to be fair,
almost
he's a surgeon. He's not a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like a rigger or a sailor.
Well, of
or
course. I mean,
whatnot.
more like
he's not expected. Yeah.
I mean,
he's doing
more
all
like
the things a surgeon should be doing on the voyage.
Yeah, I mean more like in the sense of I almost get the feeling that sometimes he intentionally almost wanted someone to die to find out what happened because of the watch. I think he may be like the fact that he has the watch makes me think differently about him. But yeah, that's just like my thoughts. He's definitely the most important character in sheer terms of the game happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next is the surgeon's mate, James Wallace. And here's the first, I think, kind of just someone who exists here.
Yeah,
because all we really see him do is make the bed, and he's with Henry while they're treating Renfred.
Yeah,
and then he just dies out of nowhere when the crabs attack, and I don't really remember anything he really does.
The only other thing I remember is that he's with the surgeon. He's with Henry when they're like trying to treat the guy with the ripped off leg.
Yeah,
where he is like following his instructions. But the only thing I remember about the surgeon's mate is that he does not know how to sit on a chair normally.
Yeah, yeah, that is that. I mean, that almost feels anachronistic. Like, did people really sit on chairs like that back in the 18th century?
I think he only did it to put his legs up because he's kind of a dick in that way, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
anyway,
I don't really put my feet up, but I can understand wanting to. So, but in such a situation, it seems like kind of a like, dude, what are you doing? So, there's someone dying right in front of you. Like, show some class for God's sake.
Yeah, he and Henry are like strangely nonchalant, which for Henry that makes sense, but for him,
there he
not
is.
so much. Yeah, there he is.
So I want to say C tier myself.
C tier is entirely fair.
Okay. And now we go back to an interesting fella, the carpenter, Winston Smith.
Right. Winston is a G. I think because Carpenter is super important.
He was a badass. He actually takes out one of the crab riders.
He takes him out while getting stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, that is the most action hero way to go out.
And you actually, you witness the death through the crab rider's body, so...
Yeah. Which is again, I think he's a real cool dude. He's also a carpenter, which is extremely important on a ship like the Obra Dinn, and also the fact that he's he's an African American guy
from
is being
from America in the 18th century. So he's either like an escaped slave or a freedman. Either which makes him just a really interesting character.
Yeah, not only that, but his assistant is white.
Yeah,
which I think
and also
is
from America, and he doesn't seem to mind working under him. So
he respects it as well.
Yeah,
I think Winston is just a upstanding man. I'm willing to put him in either high A tier. Yeah, no, high A tier. I think he's cool.
Okay.
I think he goes out. Yeah, I think he goes out in a good way. He's down on the third row next to ES, all the way to the right.
There he is.
There you go. Yeah, I'm gonna say high A tier. Yeah, he's he goes out like a boss.
I don't usually order things within the tiers, but in this case, I'll give it a shot. And now we have the Carpenter's mate, Marcus Gibbs. Kind of, in my opinion, he kind of just exists because I think, like, literally, like, you see him once in the carpenter shop, and then the next time you see him, he's dead.
Yeah, okay. I'm actually gonna say put him in D tier because of the way he dies. I don't know if you remember, but he gets spiked after he tries to throw an axe at one of the crab riders, and the crab rider fucking parries it.
Oh, and then it ends up killing someone else, right?
It doesn't, but it's just he announces it ahead of time. He's like, "Hey, catch, you fucking idiot!" Like a fucking anime character, and literally Winston is telling him like, "Oh man, come back here," and he's like, "Oh, catch this!" Immediately dies. Yeah. So he's kind of a dumb shit.
Oops.
The D tier is for dumb people.
Yeah, or people who made through maybe not intentionally, but they ended up effing things up a bit. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that
in that case, we may have a second person to put there: the cook, Thomas Sefton. Death by tempting fate, or
literally.
do not taunt Cthulhu. He literally walks right up to one of the mer people, and he's like, "This'll make a tasty meal." And then the mermaid just whips him to death. Like,
yeah. Not only that, but that little maneuver ends up costing the life of someone else.
Oh, right, yeah, because then the people carrying the stretcher lose their balance, and it ends up killing Wazim.
Yeah, exactly.
William Wazim. So
yeah, William.
So yeah, definitely D tier, or I don't know. Would that put him in F tier? Because he didn't just get himself killed; he got someone else killed as well.
Yeah, but I think in this case, I'm not willing to put him in F tier because he didn't do it like maliciously.
Okay. Yeah.
And also, I think he plays an important role in the way that the ship works up until that point.
Yeah.
Because he's the cook, and that's kind of an important role. So I'm willing to cut him a little bit of slack, even though he is stupid. Again, D for dumb. I think F is for fucking malicious or something like that.
Where the heck?
That's Butcher. He kind of has a nothing face, if I remember correctly. Isn't he?
He's got a scarf or something around his neck. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Third
row. Yeah, there he is. Yeah. Dumbass.
Okay. And now the Butcher.
How does the Butcher die again?
He got spiked by one of the crab riders, and then Henry is trying to get him off the wall. But then he gives up and leaves him there, and he's just dead.
Oh, right, yeah. Too impaled to
and
save.
Then I think his only other appearance was when they were slaughtering the cow.
I mean, he does his job, at least, we know that. And he sounds professional about it.
So, I would say just C tier, because...
Yeah, C... I'd like to say that C is the certainly exists tier.
Yeah.
The Butcher is on the third row at the start.
Ah.
I remember him. Okay. Yep, there he is. Certainly exists.
And now, for Sir Topham Hatt, as I called him, Christian Wolff, the Austrian
You didn't call
gunner.
him... you didn't call him Sir Topham. You called the bosun Sir Topham because his head is
Oh.
wider.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay,
Wolf.
well, they both
he's,
got top hats. His top hat is
Yeah.
just less wide but a little taller.
Yeah, exactly. It's the
Hmm.
same overall volume, just like different build.
Yeah. And
So-
from all of his appearances, Wolf is, he's doing his job. He accidentally gets obliterated by the cannon when the Kraken grabs it through the ship.
Yeah.
But, oh yeah, and then he's also seen at one point grabbing guns for the crew to help defend against the crab riders.
I think I will say that Wolf and his mate, who I will rank lower than him, I think Wolf was doing his job, like, well.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't do anything super interesting throughout the story, but he is always there, providing guns for people when it is necessary. So he's not like stingy or anything. He is actually, I think, interested in.
He's doing his job well.
And he's also one.
I feel like putting him in B tier.
I will put him in B tier, yeah, because I appreciate that he is also physically present and loading the cannons.
Mm-hmm.
Because he could just be like instructing from the sidelines, but he's right next to the cannons when he gets fucking obliterated, which tells me that he was very like present in that moment and was actually leading the people. And if it weren't for the fact that they were fighting an actual Kraken, I think they would have stood a pretty good chance with him there. He seems like a competent person.
Mm-hmm. So now we have the gunner's mate, Olas Viator. In Polish, would you pronounce a W like a V?
It depends. Sometimes it's silent, sometimes it's a V, sometimes it's like sort of a U sound. It kind of depends on the surroundings. I'm not an expert, but immediate F tier for being Polish. No,
I still think he deserves to be an F tier for trying to kill Lanke.
Yeah, he's one of the very few people who was actively trying to
murder someone.
Kill someone.
Yeah,
exactly. I think he belongs in fucking malicious, even though usually he is at least trying to.
It also happened because he was planning a mutiny, and he got found out. So I'm like, okay, time to start shanking people.
Yeah,
and also
mercilessly.
Because of him trying to kill Lanke, and then Davies trying to stop him, that led to him being killed by Brennan. So he's kind of responsible for like both Lanke himself and Davies dying.
Yeah, it's just
so yeah. I think F tier for sure. He effed up for sure.
Yeah, it's just really, like being useful usually is not really enough to save you from that fucking performance.
Now we have someone a bit less interesting. The purser, Duncan McKay. Don't really see him much. He's hiding in his office during the Crab Rider attack, which I want to say is bad, but also the guy is literally an accountant. He's not a soldier or anything. So I don't think he would have been expected to fight. But then he also tries to flee the ship without the permission of the captain, and that ends up getting him killed.
I believe he also is trying to take some of his stuff with him, which suggests that he's trying to, make away with some of the money.
Yeah.
Which that kind of... I'm not sure if that is... if I'm remembering that correctly or not, but if it is the case, I'm going to assume that it is the case, because he seems kind of like a general sort of backboneless little fucking wet rag of a person.
There, so... It's
yeah,
not
he's
that. Yeah.
His appearance alone screams like he would collect taxes. He's a tax person.
I want to say D tier.
D tier because it's just he does not do anything, but also he's kind of just a not particularly good person. He could have at least let more people into his office so they would be safe from the Crab Riders, but he didn't. He locked himself in there.
Yeah.
So there's that.
If it wasn't for him trying to flee the ship, I would just keep him in C tier because I'm not going to hold stuff against him for not trying to help the ship defend.
Well, yeah, of course not. He's not a soldier. He's not a soldier, but he also, like, he's the person who, like, locks himself in the safe room and when during, like, a zombie apocalypse, and then he's like, oh, well, too bad that you're outside.
Yeah.
And then he starves to death because he's a fucking dipshit. Anyway, yeah.
Alright. So, next is the helmsman, Finley Dalton, who also barely appears. He's got 2 scenes, and in the memories, and in both of them he's being killed.
Yeah, I think Helmsman deserves an extra funny placement because he's one of the first people that you can identify purely by the fact that he's standing next to the helm.
Apparently, you can identify him before you even view any memories, just because he's standing next to the wheel.
Yeah,
and he has his hand on the wheel.
I think for that alone, he deserves a little bit of a buff. He does not do anything, so he would be by standards. He is the top of C tier, though. He will be number 1 of C tier, I think, forever.
That's fair. All right, and now we have an interesting one. The artist Edward Spratt. So ES here.
Eddie.
Also, basically indispensable for the investigation. But
Absolutely.
aside from that, the guy literally gets killed in the while he's using the toilet, which is
really just a terrible way to die.
Yeah,
I would say he is more useful than the helmsman, but he's not super useful. So I'm gonna say bottom of B tier.
I feel like putting him in A tier because the sketches he made are the investigation would not have been possible without them.
Yeah, not really. Okay, bottom of A tier, but I'm also going to hold it against him that his sketches are not accurate.
Yeah, that's fair. So, okay.
What about artistic integrity, Eddie? That's why you got fucking killed on the shitter.
Yeah. I mean, when nature calls,
Well, yeah, but wasn't there like a latrine anywhere? Did he have to go to the front of the ship?
Well, that's where the head was.
Well, yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And now we're moving on to the passengers, and we have Abigail Hoskett Witterell, the captain's wife, appears only in one scene in which she walks out onto the deck in the middle of a battle and demands to know where her husband is, and then gets killed by a piece of rigging.
Yeah, okay, purely for that, D, right?
Yeah.
But I will give her a little bit of slack. I think she deserves to be top of D tier because she is the person through who you have the first oh shit moment of the game. Because up until that point, you're like, oh, this is a murder mystery about some sort of thing. And then you just have her being clubbed to death by the fucking Kraken. And you're like, oh, we're playing that kind of game.
Plus, I think through her death, you get a bunch of other scenes in the Doom, right?
Yeah, she's very much one of the like split path people, where like she starts a long sort of like row of different deaths. But yeah, she is D tier. She's dumb, but she's top of D tier. She's the pretty princess of dumb.
She's useful but dumb.
Yeah.
She should not have left her cabin and walked out on deck when they're being attacked by a gigantic Kraken. That was
I think.
Yeah, I can understand if she was worried about the captain and wanted to know he was safe, but she didn't need to leave her cabin for that. Like,
yeah, she's like plot device dumb, I think is the best way to say it. Like, I think if she wasn't the person through which we got that oh shit moment, she would have lived either a lot longer, or she would have died in a much less stupid way. So I'm gonna give her that slack. She is D tier for dumb, but she's plot device dumb.
Yeah. Next is Nunzio Pasqua, the Italian violinist. Or fiddle, apparently. Fiddler? I think that's how you say it.
Fiddler.
Appears in one scene in which he is killed by Nichols. And that's... I mean, I don't really know what else to say. It wasn't his fault for getting killed, because
Absolutely not.
So
He seems good natured, but I think he's below the helmsman in sea because
yeah,
he exists to be a plot device, but he's not like a bad person. He's not stupid. If anything, he was very close to having Nichols. Like, if he had been, more suspicious and not as good natured, the whole game wouldn't have happened. But that's not his fault.
yeah. Next we have the Emily Jackson, the
Emily
married of the
Jackson,
two other Caucasian women, and
yes,
she also appears in like 2 scenes. And in the second one, she's escaping on the lifeboat, and she shoots Volkov while he's trying to stop them, even after the captain has said to let them go.
I think she deserves a relatively high spot for that. Because yeah, like she's not super active, but when she does appear,
Yeah,
she is
she
she's kind
yeah
of
she
girl
probably
bossy.
saved. She might have saved, although the captain was also at that point ready to shoot Volkov. So, but
Well, yeah,
yeah,
but like to have the fucking guts to pick up a gun as a
hmm
civilian who has never held it, and to have the mental acuity to aim up and shoot the guy straight through the heart, I think purely for being a badass and being one of the few people who survives, I think she deserves a pretty high spot.
okay. So A tier.
Yeah, I'm gonna like middle of A tier somewhere. She's
Okay.
on first row to the right, third from the right. Yeah, there she is. Emily Jackson. No, that's Miss Jane Bird.
Oh,
That's the younger one. All the way to the right. Third one from the right.
oh, there she is.
Yeah. With the
So
weird
I'll
bowl
put
cut.
her here
Yeah.
for now. Okay. And then the other one, Miss Jane Bird, uh, who will chew you out in the letter if you bungle the investigation. Your investigation was so bad it killed Dr. Evans.
Yeah, straight up. Just you are so shit at your job. You killed a man.
hmm But aside from
I
that,
mean,
she
that's
really
funny.
doesn't do anything.
She's just there to confuse you on who is who.
Yeah. So
I think
I
that's
want to
like,
say just C tier for existing.
yeah, put her
Okay.
just anywhere in C tier.
Yeah. Now we have Bun Lan Lim.
Oh, God.
Tries
Which
to stop Hawk Sing Lao from being executed, but is doesn't work. And then she's kidnapped and is killed by one of the mermaids. So a really tragic figure. Kind of semi exists as a plot device.
sort
I
of. She's. I believe that she is the Formosan royalty. Like everyone else is
Yeah,
either
she's
her
one of the two
bodyguards or like
royals.
her
The other
caretaker.
one is It Beng Sia, who was also
Is
kidnapped.
is
So they
he
kidnapped the two
is
royals.
is he really royalty? Because he refers to her as like Miss Lim. So I'm getting the feeling that he may be like aristocracy or the equivalent of it.
Well, according
But
to TV
she,
Tropes, which is the page I'm using to track everyone,
mhm.
it's her and It Beng Sia who are
Oh, okay.
who are
Okay, no,
the
we're just
royals,
gonna
and then Chio and
we
Hawk
are
Sing Lao are the guards.
we are gonna presume that they are in that case.
hmm
The only thing that I will say is like for specifically the Formosan royals, I am willing to see them as in a like slightly more negative light because they are the ones willingly
hmm
transporting this seashell, which they know. I
They knew it
believe
was dangerous. I don't know if they knew that it would bring the sea creatures to attack them,
no, they
but
do know. They absolutely know because I believe
mm,
in this in the calling. The two are like talking like the seashell must not be returned to the ocean. They will be coming for us or something like that. So they know 100% that transporting the seashell is putting everyone on board at risk, and they just don't give a shit.
yeah. So would that
So
put them
I'm
in C or D?
I'm gonna say bottom of C tier because to be entirely fair to them, they have it transported in a massive ship and
Yeah.
it's guarded most of the time. I think they
hmm
both of them don't deserve to be seen as like actively endangering everyone, because they were at least trying to protect it, but
Yeah.
they are not good. They're not. They aren't deserving of being in the top half of the list because they are willingly transporting this.
Yeah.
Even though we see very clearly that these sea people are not mindless.
However, for the next one, It Bangs Yeah, I'm going to come out and say I think he's in D, borderline F, for the reason that opening the chest, he was doing it to try and save Lim, who he didn't know was already dead, but opening the chest, basically all it did was it stunned the mermaids and saved Nichols, who was the only other person alive, and he was the only survivor, which let Nichols take the ships with the unconscious mermaids and the shell back to the ship, which resulted in them getting attacked. If he had done nothing, they would have just killed everyone, taken the shell, and then probably the ship would have gone on its way. So
yeah, definitely.
That wasn't he wasn't doing it maliciously, but it was I don't know. I know he's at least D tier in my mind.
No, I'm gonna put him in F tier because he.
He also, because he
he's
knew about how dangerous it was.
Yeah, he's also one of the few people who actively kills someone in the game.
Well, he did it he killed.
I know it's self-defense,
I forget
but
who he killed, but he killed someone because he was restrained and he needed to open the chest. So
yeah. But again,
but in that case, opening the chest was a bad thing to do because it led to most of the people on the ship dying. In a sense,
you could argue that he was doing a sacrifice thing because he knew that he wouldn't survive using the shell. But again, if he had just not done anything, everything would have gone way better than it did.
Yeah. So is he above or below Olus?
I think they're about equal. Just keep it like this.
Okay. Now we have Chio, one of the guards, and he ends up killing Nichols, and I want to put him high just for that, because it's so satisfying that he makes it back to the ship and he thinks he's safe, and then bam, he's dead. We know the royals knew about the chest, but we don't really know. I mean, I guess Chio did know it was dangerous, but so. Yeah.
I'm still gonna say he's low B tier.
Yeah, that's
purely because fair. he dies while being interrogated, so he could have probably with time could have done more about it. But it's just first and foremost, he is taking revenge for all the shit that happens beforehand, which I think at that point is justified.
Yeah.
And also, he is the one person where finally Nichols doesn't get away from it. Because up until that point, he's been sort of barely swimming past. It's from that one video of JoJo's Part 4, but really, really fast, and it's another day, another concerningly narrow escape. That's just Nichols' entire story.
Yeah.
Until he rolls up and just fucking clocks him, deservedly.
Yep. So now, Hawk Sing Lao, who it basically exists as a plot device, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The poor guy did nothing wrong. Well, sort of did nothing wrong. I mean,
he got knocked out.
He was employed. He was just a guard. So I'm going to say he did nothing wrong, and he ends up getting framed for a murder he didn't commit.
The only thing you can say against him is that he didn't. The best thing I can say is that
him dying was important for the investigation because it gave us a lot of clues about the identity of the crew and whatnot. So
yeah, I think he's below the helmsman in C.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because he is important, but otherwise it's just kind of like a nothing burger.
Yeah. Next we have the ship's steward, Zungi Sati. And was he? I forget if he did things other than unfortunate.
No,
I think he's I think he's part of the part. I think he helps defend the ship in Part 6 at one point.
I mean, he probably does. He gets wounded, so he has to be present
Yeah, he
when
gets wounded.
traps are there.
He tries to find a safe place, and then accidentally gets killed by Olus. Yeah, he is in 4 parts of soldiers, and then 3 parts of unholy. And then I think before that, Sati is spiked in the back immediately before Soldiers of the Sea Part 4. And then he's just crawling away at that point. So he does kind of just exist in a sense.
I think he's the most C tier of C tiers.
Yeah.
I believe he's on the 2nd row, 4th from the right.
Yeah, there he is.
Is that him?
So
Yeah, that's him.
where do I put him in the sea?
Just anywhere, really.
Yeah, I'll put him above the carpenter's mate. Now we have the Captain Steward, Philip Dahl, who just fucking hacked off John Naples' leg. Because he seemed to know that the seashells were cursed, but I mean, how would he have really known that? And
yeah, it's like he seems to have some sort of intuition, but I really wonder, why did he fucking hack a guy's leg off?
Yeah, why did he have to fucking kill the guy? Like
what?
Could have tried.
What is
he was the Captain Steward for 20 years. He could have tried talking to him and trying to reason with him. I mean, when you know someone that long, you're probably going to at least hear them out. So
yeah,
I don't know, F tier for what he did.
F4 fucking chops a leg off.
Yeah.
I don't know why he does that.
Yeah, I'll
put him in there.
Top of F tier. Although it's kind of a bar in hell right now.
Yeah, really.
Okay. Paul Moss.
He's Nichols' steward, right?
No, he's Hoskett's steward.
Oh.
Yeah.
How does he die?
He is with the people escaping the boat in the escape, and he tries to stop Volkov from pulling the rowboat back up, but Volkov kills him.
Oh, right, yeah. So he does. Oh, right, yeah, he does die.
And then aside from that, he's also in the Doom a couple times, and the Bargain. So he tries to help. He's trying to help the 4 people escape, but he gets killed for it. So, and then that's about the most notable thing he does.
I don't think that classifies him for B tier. I think he's trying to help, but if I have to ask how did this guy die, and then I'm just saying oh right, because I admit sometimes I'm stupid and I just forget people's names. But in this case, I would really argue that he did not do much.
I would put him at the top of C tier myself.
Fair.
Okay.
Fair, but behind the helmsman, because the helmsman is still the funniest one.
Yeah.
Helmsman is not the C tier for funnies. Maybe
now
the blandest forge.
Now we have Signor Nichols' steward, who was part of the conspiracy to steal and kidnap the Formosans, and ended up dying from the mermaids.
Everyone who is with Nichols deserves D or lower.
Yeah, because he was the mate, and he didn't try to stop Nichols when he came up with the conspiracy. I'm going to put him in F tier because I think he was absolutely willing and complicit.
He's one of the more he's in a better position than all the other people who end up coming with him. He's the one who's whispering to Nichols, so I believe that he is very active in it, and that fact alone places him above Nichols because Nichols is a scumfuck, but he's very bottom of F. Yeah. He's dipping his toes into scumfucked here, basically.
Yeah. Now we have the third mate steward, Roderick Anderson. And The
he
thing he's with Martin a few times, but he's not really seen doing much. The one really memorable thing he does is try to warn of the loose cannon, but that ends up killing him. So
yeah, I feel bad for him, but he's C tier.
Yeah,
He's C. Like, he does his job. He's middle of the second row. You just went over him.
there it is.
No, more there. That's him. That's C tier. Just anywhere in C tier. I think high C tier, but I don't know where exactly. Because he is one of the few.
Put him here.
He's one of the few people who we see do his job well. He's also, I believe, arguably one of the first people who you can guess is a steward, and who you can then use the uniform of to like reference the other stewards. Because you see him like carrying food for Martin and just generally being around him doing like tasks for him. So he's semi-important in that way. But he's still kind of a...
Now we have the fourth mate steward, Davy James. He's addressed as boy, which kind of implies that he is really young among the crew. And that's probably why he was allowed to go with the others. And he's also looking away in the memory when Hawk Seng Lao is executed. And he doesn't assist in defending the ship. In fact, Moss is actually defending him at one point. So he kind of just exists. He didn't do anything wrong, so I don't want to put him in D tier, but he's probably low C tier for me.
Yeah, he just exists very much. I remember making fun of his name.
I'm gonna put him
just somewhere in low C tier.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we have the three midshipmen who are all G's to varying extents, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Yeah. Then we have Peter Milroy.
Peter Milroy. How does he die again?
He's the guy who gets exploded in the Doom.
Oh, right, yeah.
When what's his name?
Lenka?
Who was it that
Is it Lenka? Or Lanka?
Yeah, it was Lenke who tried to pull him back. Right.
Yeah. The only thing you can say bad about him is that he didn't throw the powder.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was wrapped up in a fucking rope holding a massive barrel. I'm not sure you can blame him too much. So I think he should be, I think, the lowest of the three midshipmen, but he is still a good guy.
Yeah, I would put him in B tier myself.
He's definitely B tier. I think he is high B tier, actually, because it takes some fucking massive cojones to agree to yeet a gunpowder barrel at a Kraken.
Yeah.
Stupid, but great.
Yeah, now we have Thomas Lanke, who discovered the mutiny and tried to warn the captain and was killed by it. And he was definitely part of defending the ship. He tried to save Peter.
I think he deserves.
And he died. He dies very tragically.
I think he deserves A tier for that. I can't really think of anything that he did badly, because the explosion death was not his fault. Like, sure, maybe their idea was stupid, but it was well-meaning, and they didn't make things worse for anyone. And he tries to do the right thing. He gets stabbed for it, but he does live long enough to, like... He does prevent the mutiny, effectively. Yeah. It's his death that, like...
in doing so, it leads to the deaths of himself, Olus, Moss... So three people at least. Although he was doing his job. Like, he noticed a mutiny and he tried to warn the captain. So,
yeah, he's a dutiful good boy, I think.
Yeah.
I think he deserves a higher placement for that.
And then the next midshipman, Charles Herstick, who burned a crab rider to death with a lantern, but this ended up killing himself as well.
Again, I'm gonna say I think he deserves high B tier.
Yeah.
Because he goes out like painfully. He wanted to definitely do the right thing, and again, it takes some absolute balls to go close to something like that so fearlessly with such a crazy ass idea as well. It worked though. Like he took it out with relatively minimal casualties apart from himself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna say high B tier.
Yeah. And now we have the top men, and we start with Omid Gul, the Persian.
Omid
He
Gul,
has a
right?
cool scimitar, and he uses it in the defense against the crab riders, I believe.
The fact that he has a whole ass sword with him on this ship is really cool. I'm
Mm-hmm.
impressed by this guy. He does unfortunately just sort of die like a dipshit, but I think
He does
he's not
his job.
right.
He's defending the ship, and he ends up getting killed by the
Definitely.
Kraken. So I feel like putting him in low B tier.
He's a low B tier, but the fact alone that this guy whips out his sword, that he's been having
Yeah.
that he had the whole thing through, and he just decides that that's what he's gonna fight the Kraken with is incredibly brave. So yeah, I'm willing to give him B tier.
Yeah. And now we have Timothy Butement, who tries to stop Nichols from escaping. Oh.
Yeah, and then he gets
Yeah, he tries to stop Nichols from escaping with the two ships and is killed by him. And then he falls over the side of the ship with his leg on some rigging.
yeah, and
And
that's how we find him.
he's right outside of
Hoskett's
I think
window,
he's right
right?
outside of. He's hanging right outside of Hoskett's window, I believe.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely one of the funnier deaths in that regard.
yeah. Like
But
he tried to stop Nichols, so I don't think he belongs in C tier. So I'm going to also say low B tier for him.
yeah, he's one of the very few people who actually had some like guts on him. What I will say is that his sacrifice probably made the escape a lot more hectic because again, these are like flintlocks that they're using, and him getting shot means that the guy doesn't have a shot for a while anymore, so the others have to compensate for it. So maybe stupid, but he did make things better for everyone. I think if it weren't for him, the escape would have gone a lot more smoothly for Nichols.
Yeah. Now
So,
we
yeah,
have Huang Li, who has the unfortunate fate of being struck by lightning.
Really,
Like,
just an
wow.
unfortunate.
And
yeah.
that happens as they're being attacked by the crab riders. So, like, how unlucky can you possibly be? Unless somehow the sea creatures were controlling the weather. I
It
don't know if
could
that was
be.
possible, but yeah.
It could be, but I think they do suggest it because with the Kraken, the storm also left. So it may be that like the mer creatures are willingly like causing a storm, but I don't know why they would be killing this guy in particular. I think that was actually just coincidence.
Yeah.
So I don't think. Definitely one of the funniest deaths. Also the only electrocution, which is notable. The scene is also cool because you can see the crabs crawling out up the side. But as a guy, he exists.
Yeah, I'd put him in C tier.
Yeah, C for certain exists. Yeah, who is it?
There he is. And I'll put
There
him.
we are.
I'll put him between Nunzio and Davies. Or no, that's not Davies. That's
No, so
what's his name?
that's the third mate. Third mate Stewart.
Oh, Roderick. Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So now we're on Ji Zhang. And
I knew
I
his names.
don't remember a single thing about him. I don't even remember how he dies.
I guess we're looking that up because this doesn't mean necessarily that he is an unimportant person. It's just we can't, for the life of us, remember all the Chinese
he's just
people.
killed by a crab in Soldiers Part 4, and that's it.
Yeah,
Really.
unfortunate. And then just slap him into C tier.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing we can say about him.
Li Hong. He was one of Nichols' mutineers, so I think that automatically puts him. And also, it's very highly implied that he's responsible for Hok Seng Lao being giving that so-called confession because he was acting as the translator. So I think he deserves F tier for that.
He's definitely F tier. He's low F tier too. He's again dipping his toes into. I think him and I think they're about equal. I think they're about equal, but I don't think he had as much agency in it. So I'm willing to give him a little bit more leeway.
Yeah, and next is Wei Li, who again is just in the existing tier. I think I really can't say anything about him.
Certainly present on board.
Yeah.
All right.
And continuing the trend of topmen who just kind of exist, Nicholas Botterill.
I don't remember him.
All I know is that he is the first person to be killed by the Crab Riders.
Oh, yeah.
Unless we consider that the lightning was because of the sea creatures.
I think we consider him only special because he's the first guy killed by the riders themselves. I think just C tier again.
Yeah. And now we have Maba.
Maba, my boy Maba.
He is defending the ship in a few scenes, and he has one of the most horrifying deaths, where he gets literally torn in half by the Kraken.
Yeah, I have to respect the fact that this man goes up against the Kraken shirtless, like Omid.
Yeah.
But unlike Omid, he actually has the healthy human sense of logic to keep his fucking feet on the deck. Unfortunately, he does get ripped apart, but that's hardly his fault. Also, he has one of the coolest designs in game. His tattoos are nice, and they were very confusing for you for a while.
Yeah.
Maba has
I'm gonna say low B tier.
Yeah, I would say low B tier also because Maba has the honor of probably being a lot of people's first person who gets like uncovered, where they're just like, how the fuck am I supposed to know who this is?
Yeah.
So he has that honor.
Yeah. Now we have Lewis Walker, who is one of the last 3 mutineers, makes it all the way to the end.
Yeah, he has the honor of being one of the reasons why the captain dies. He's the one who stabs him.
Yeah.
He is one of the most overlooked characters initially because he's in the first memory, and then you can see him like sprinting across the top deck, jump down, and stab him from behind. I think he's cool. I think he tries. He's present before that as well.
Yeah, he's present throughout most of the Doom and the Escape.
Yeah.
But he's mostly just in the background.
Yeah, I will give him some bonus points also for his hammock being the last one that's hung up, so he might tip you off to the hammocks, giving you the numbers of the people. So you might look at the hammocks in the memories afterwards, if you are observant.
So, where do we put
I'm gonna say bottom of B or high C. Because he's not super relevant, but he also has just enough neat stuff. He also has the honor of being one of the few people in the last chapter. And he is arguably one of the longest standing mystery men in the game for most people.
Yeah.
Even for us, I think he was one of the last people that we guessed.
I'll put him in B tier, but below Maba, just because.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
Being part of the mutiny would knock him down a little bit.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Mamba, my boy. It's also
Now
very
the
stabby.
last of the top men is Leonid Volkov, and
Ah, Volkov.
I don't think of him very highly because he tried to stop the four from escaping on the boat, even as the captain said, "Let them go."
He's one
And
of the
he still
people.
tries, and he ends up killing Paul Moss.
He just straight up mercilessly fucking stabs him. Like he's still mid run in that scene.
Yeah,
He does not hesitate. He didn't even go after the people on the boat first. He went after this guy. I don't. I think he deserves like. He's very high F tier, but he is still F
yeah.
tier. I think
I'll
he's
put
on par with the
him.
Gunner's mate.
I'll put him below Philip, but above Olus.
Yeah,
Yeah. And now the
yeah.
other two Russians, Lurkus Nikishin, who were both part of the Nichols mutiny, but they're just seamen, so they may not have had as much agency. I feel like putting them in low D tier.
Yeah, I think they are. They're the henchmen of this, so you can blame
Yeah.
them for being selfish, but you can't blame them for that much else. I think inherently they're just trying to better, like, get more money for themselves.
Yeah. Also,
Other than that,
Toporov is one of the
just-
guys who couldn't hit a stationary target that was like 3 meters away from him.
Yep, truly a dangerous man.
Yeah. All right, so that's two down,
Huh.
and now we have Nathan Peters, the guy who kills Lars because he blames him for the death of his brother.
Is there a separate tier for, man, this guy holds a grudge? The petty tier.
Uh,
It's just, I think he deserves to be in high F tier for holding a grudge. A, for holding a grudge that long. B,
yeah.
for holding a grudge over something that was clearly not the guy's reason. C, for holding a grudge probably because the guy is Danish. Because,
Yeah,
like, in the
he
scene
seems
where the
to-
cargo
he seems
falls...
yeah, calling someone a bloody Dane is...
Yeah, it's like in the scene where his brother gets crushed, there are like more people there, and the Danish guy is not even like on the level where the rope snapped. He's actually trying to warn people. So I think this guy is petty, probably racist,
Yeah,
and
I'm
he
gonna put him
pulls
at
it
the
out.
top of F tier.
Yeah, he gets
is-
his come up.
I don't understand why, like, y'all are white Europeans who follow the same overall religion. Why is there so much intercommunal bigotry and hatred towards each other? I don't really get it.
Oh, don't say that, or there's gonna be a discourse in the comments. I can already hear all the Dutch people. Well, as long as we don't say that.
Just to defuse a possible situation, I am Irish, so I get it. Like, my grandparents literally left the UK because of the Troubles. So
Yeah, well,
I
get
think
ready.
I'm allowed to point out how ridiculous this is, but I won't say anymore.
Now you just summoned all the British people. Hello, British
Whatever.
people. Just
Alright.
remember that she's in British Columbia, would you?
Yeah. So
It's
now
not in
we
French,
have funnily enough, right afterwards is Lars Lind.
He's C tier. He doesn't do anything bad,
Yeah.
but he doesn't do anything. Period. He has one of the shittiest deaths because it's so petty. But
I
that's
want to
it.
put him. I'm going to put him above the kind of just existing guys, just because he's at least easy to identify,
Yeah, and to be fair, he does try to warn the other
and he
Peters better.
is also trying to flee the ship in that sense. So
Mhm. He would have died anyway in that case. Yeah. I guess his fate was sealed. So, who is up next?
next is John Naples, who is the guy
Oh,
that Dahl
okay.
cuts the leg off of, and he also is one of the guys who couldn't hit a stationary target 3 meters away from him.
That's the most C tier of C tiers. I
Yeah.
literally do not know anything else that this guy does.
Yeah.
Gets his
Ren-
leg ripped off.
Yeah, Renfred Rajub, who dies because, maybe potentially because Henry gave him an opiate when he had a lung infection.
Does he
because of his death, we got to see Solomon's death, and then Solomon has one of the most impactful deaths of the entire game.
Okay, that's fair. I think he gets like an honorary low B tier for that.
Yeah.
He himself is not important, but he is the entryway to one of the most important deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Next, we have Abraham Akbar, and there's an interesting bit on the TV Tropes page. Implied to never learn to read, with his hammock being marked with an X. At the time, this was primarily done for the benefit of a crewmate who couldn't read, making it easier for them to distinguish their own assigned station compared to the numbered ones around it.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Hey, what's up? My name's Jared. I'm 19, and
aside from that, he really doesn't do anything. You can mark him down as responsible for the deaths of Wolf and Shirley because he lit the cannon, but then the Kraken grabbed it. So, I want to say just C tier.
Yeah, he's C tier. He gets hugged to death.
There he is. And now William Wazim, who is the Indian who got his neck broken when the cook antagonized the mermaid, which ended up he got killed, and then
it's just unfortunate, really.
Yeah, unfortunate, tragic, C tier.
C tier. Yes.
These last ones are kind of we're gonna get to some more interesting ones, starting with Solomon Syed, and this is the one that I was curious about, because literally all Solomon does is he gets sick and dies. Which, if we were judging just based on that, I would put him in D tier, because his death contributed literally nothing, and he potentially got someone else sick. Although Evan seems to think the disease is non-communicable, but because of how he died and where he died and when he died, that's basically allows us to identify at least a fourth of the crew.
Yeah, he's absolutely one of the most monumentally important deaths in the game, even though he dies.
I would personally put him up alongside the artist for that reason.
Yeah, I think he deserves that. He's monumentally important.
Not higher than the artist, but just below him.
Yeah, you could totally identify most of the people there without his death, but it would just be a lot more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So he makes things easier. He's super important in that regard, but you could technically do without him, and he dies like a chump.
Okay, and now we have Hamando Dion. The only thing I remember him doing is that he's holding Chio while he's being interrogated, and he and Chio get killed by the same spike.
Yeah, absolutely, just fucking C tier.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he just exists.
Yeah.
But now we have the biggest meme guy, or second biggest, maybe next to Solemn, Henry Brennan.
Henry Brennan is the main character, somehow.
Henry Brennan is fucking... They got John Wick on this ship. He's the only guy who actually seems to know how to aim and fire a rifle. He's present. He's defending the ship in most scenes, I believe. Yeah, like, oh my god, he's in Soldiers, he's in The Doom, he's in Escape. He's even in Unholy Captives and Murder, although in Murder he's just present for the execution. So
yeah. Brennan is, again, I think Brennan, if there was like a series made about the Obra Dinn, like a documentary series, I think we would be following Hoskett and Brennan, because those two are just like weirdly present everywhere, especially Brennan. He's just a G.
And he's just
wherever
an
he
ordinary seaman who makes it all the way to the end.
Definitely. And he's also one of the more competent fighters, because he's the one who finishes off that scuffle before Lenta. I'm misremembering his name. But he's also the one who... Yeah, Lenka. Sorry, Lenka. And he's also the one who overpowers the captain for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which, given the fact that the captain then proceeds to go absolutely sicko mode, is kind of impressive.
Yeah.
Especially because this guy, he's a sailor. He's just a seaman. He probably eats, like, Weevil heart attack most days.
Yeah.
But he's...
So...
Again, he is the main
character. If his placement was just based on, like, the fact that he's, like, the Doomslayer, I would put him in S tier, but he doesn't really contribute to the investigation at all.
Not much. I think his he's semi-difficult to like, guess, because there's, like, the one time you can clearly guess who he is when Osgood calls for him.
Yeah.
Which is pretty...
apparently, he appears in more scenes than any other character.
Yeah, again, he is the main character.
Yeah, so I would put him in high A tier myself. I think maybe just below the captain.
I personally would put him in S tier, but I can also understand A tier if we're going for a more balanced approach. I just like Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
Brennan has no right being as important and as cool as he is, but he just is.
Okay, and now we have Alexander Booth, who is one of the three who tries to leave during the Kraken attack in the lifeboat.
That's such a C-tier thing to do.
Yeah. He doesn't really do anything else. Patrick O'Hagan, one of the seamen that's part of Nichols' conspiracy.
Gets fucking speared in the neck. He deserves the D tier with the others.
And now we have George Shirley, who gets blown out of the porthole by the cannon, alongside Wolf.
It's a punk ass way to die. C tier.
Interesting thing though, his hammock is with the Chinese topmen, and he's hanging out with them in the Life at Sea sketch.
Yeah.
So it seems like he was probably friends with them, which is just kind of interesting because he looks like an old English guy.
Yeah, he's a bald white man, which is half of the characters in this game.
Yeah. So I feel like putting him in mid to high C tier.
Yeah, he definitely deserves higher C tier.
I'll put him
for
above Nunzio.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, the last character, who is also the first person canonically to die, Samuel Peters, gets crushed by the cargo because the weight was unbalanced because there was a stowaway on in one of the barrels.
Yeah. I really don't know.
I mean,
like, just slap him in
D tier would be mean. So C tier.
It's not his fault that his brother is a fucking petty asshole. But yeah, he has the acolyte of being the first person to die on the Obra Dinn, but that's not really saying much.
Well, that's our tier list. So, now that we have the final thing assembled, do you have any thoughts about potential movements or changes?
I think we've said our mind on basically everything. Like, you could endlessly shuffle around the people within the different tiers. Like, there is definitely an argument to be made for, like, the cook to be lower, or like that the people that were like helping Nichols with his conspiracy deserve to be all in F tier in some way, because, you know, their actions directly lead to the rest of the game. But I think the placements we have right now are honestly quite well balanced out, because, like, I know people are maybe going to be a little disappointed that we have so many people in C tier, But
Yeah.
it's just a matter of fact in the game that not every person on board the Obra Dinn has a particularly interesting story, because
Yeah.
it's just people on a ship, right? There's like interesting tidbits about them, sure, but in the overall story, there's a lot of just people who they're not particularly bad, and they're not particularly good. And then, of course,
Yeah.
you could also argue about the placement of the midshipmen and like how, because again, I said that they're stupid but brave, but like how much is the brave, how much is the stupid? So you could knock them
Yeah.
down, put them a
I
bit
thought we
further
would
up.
have more people in S tier by the end, but yeah, I feel confident that I think the only people who really deserve that tip of the top placement are Martin and Evans.
Yeah, I still think if I had to do, my list would be probably really similar. I would just swap Brennan and Evans, but that's just personal, like
Yeah, that's fair.
perception of the story.
I
I
guess
think those
I'm
two
weighing
are.
the investigation slightly more than you, but yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
there's not a lot to disagree with here, I think.
yeah, definitely. I
All right.
think I think we have everything good. As long as Nichols is in Scumfuck and Martin is in
Yeah,
S tier, I think everyone's gonna agree more or less.
exactly. Well, this was fun.
Indeed,
Nice way to spend an afternoon.
or an
I
evening in my
will
case.
I will throw this on my YouTube channel and I'll send you a link when it's uploaded.
Sure, we could
All
do
right.
more tier stuff for things, I suppose, or we could do like other debates.
Yeah, we can definitely do more of this kind of stuff later.
Indeed,
Alrighty. Well, thanks for hanging out with me on this.
no problem.